The 20th plenary meeting of the General Assembly is called to order. The Assembly will begin its consideration of Agenda Item 65 entitled From the New Partnership for Africa's Development to Agenda 2063. Progress in the implementation of sustainable development in Africa and international support, and its sub-items A and B. Under sub-item A, the Assembly has before it the report of the Secretary General circulated in document A/79/295. Under sub-item B entitled Causes of Conflict and the Promotion of Durable Peace and Sustainable Development in Africa, the Assembly has before it the reports of the Secretary General circulated in documents A/79/226 and the A/79/265. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, it is an honor to welcome you to today's joint debate. Today we focus our attention on achieving the Sustainable Development Goals and realizing the promise of Agenda 2063 across the continent of Africa. We do so at a unique, opportune moment. Just weeks ago, world leaders adopted the Pact for the Future, acknowledging the special challenges faced by the most vulnerable countries, in particular African countries, in the implementation of the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. Today, as Africa pursues its transformational agenda, there has never been a better time to accelerate progress towards peace, prosperity, and sustainable development. Although home to vast energy and agricultural resources, African countries face persistent deficits in electricity access and high levels of food insecurity. Although rich in financial resources, many suffer debt distress, rely on debt relief and suspensions to manage their debt service obligations. These pressures are worsened by an unjust global financial system, a system that prioritizes high interest rates and debt servicing over common sense investments in resilience and social services. This situation has pushed many African countries to the brink of default. As a result, Africa's development financing gap has ballooned to $1.6 trillion. Publicly available statistics indicate that the continent will need about $194 billion in additional financing annually to achieve the Sustainable Development Goals by 2030. Despite the bleak economic outlook, sub-Saharan Africa shows signs of inherent tenacity, like the baobab tree dotting its landscape. After bottoming out at 2.6% in 2023, economic growth in sub-Saharan Africa is expected to reach 3.4% in 2024 and 3.8% in 2025. To accelerate action on the 2030 agenda, we need renewed urgency in tackling structural inequalities and improving conditions for the 462 million people living in extreme poverty on the continent. Today, let us do our part to help translate Africa's untapped ingenuity into solid foundations for inclusive growth and shared prosperity. This includes acknowledging that Africa's vibrant working-age population is expected to grow by 450 million by 2035. With the right investments in education, health systems, technology, and entrepreneurship, the potential to drive transformative change is unlimited. With more effective financial management, stronger domestic resource mobilization, and better use of debt as a development tool, African economies can fortify and sustain their growth. With scaled-up international financial support and de-risk investments, African economies can better attract investment, lower costs, and challenge exaggerated perceptions of risk. Along with a more ambitious reform of the global financial architecture, one that better serves and represents Africa's needs, the continent would be positioned to harness its massive potential. For these efforts to succeed, durable peace must prevail in Africa and beyond. This requires urgently finding political solutions to the various conflicts across the continent, from the Sahel to Sudan, from the Democratic Republic of Congo to Somalia. Success also requires countering terrorism and violent extremism across communities. However, these actions alone are not enough to achieve sustainable stability. Promoting peace and advancing the rule of law in Africa demands a comprehensive strategy, one that encompasses legal reforms and broad societal transformations, one that addresses the root causes of injustice and inequality, and one that places human dignity at the heart of its approach, recognizing that traditional institution strategies have failed to close the justice gap. Achieving universal access to justice in Africa means breaking down the systemic barriers that perpetuate cycles of poverty and lock people out from the education, employment, markets, and services they need to participate equally in daily life. It means prioritizing vulnerable communities in reimagining justice systems. And it means addressing the intersecting obstacles preventing women from unleashing their full potential. Excellencies, as President of the General Assembly, I pledge to keep the spotlight on Africa's promise, honing our focus on support for Agenda 2063. In this context, the means of implementation, especially finances, science, and technology are of utmost importance. As we engage in today's joint debate, Let us be guided by the spirit of partnership and solidarity that is the hallmark of Africa itself. Africa must continue to rise. Africa must remain resilient and hopeful. Let us remain steadfast in our commitment towards a peaceful, prosperous, and sustainable future on the continent and beyond. I thank you.